Hello and welcome to Vatican Connections. I'm Emily Callan. In the lead up to Easter, Pope Francis offered some advice on how to best live the Triduum. Still focusing on the virtue of Christian hope, he urged the faithful to contemplate the cross and to celebrate these holy days as days of love. He spoke to thousands of pilgrims who were gathered in St. Peter's Square for his weekly general audience, and here's a summary of his catechesis.
Unlike worldly hopes, which fail to bring lasting satisfaction, our Christian hope is grounded in God's eternal love, revealed in the mystery of Christ's sacrificial death and his rising to new life. Jesus, in speaking his imminent passion and death, uses the image of the seed that must fall to the ground and die in order to bear fruit. His saving death and resurrection show that the self-giving love, that is God's very life, can transform darkness into light, sin into forgiveness, and apparent defeat into eternal victory. The cross of Christ is thus the source of that unfailing hope which gives meaning and direction to our lives. Beyond the shadow of the cross, we glimpse the glory to which we are called. As we celebrate these holy days leading to Easter, may we contemplate in the crucified Lord the source of our lasting hope and the inspiration for our efforts to live in imitation of his undying love.
"13 people were appointed as consultors to the Secretariat for Communications. The communique was released on Wednesday, and 3 Americans were chosen: Father James Martin, Jesuit and editor-at-large of America magazine, the chairman and CEO of EWTN Global Catholic Network, Michael Warsaw, as well as the co-founder of Rasky Berlane Strategic Communications, Ann Carter. The choice of consultors reflects the Secretariat's wish to be able to relate to various contexts in the world. The Secretariat for Communications is in charge of Vatican Radio, Vatican Television Center, the Vatican website, and the Holy Father's Twitter and Instagram accounts. In 2015, all of the Vatican's communication offices were amassed under the Secretariat. The Holy See also announced this week that a liturgy of the Word in honor of new martyrs will be celebrated by the Holy Father next week. These new martyrs refer to men and women of the 20th and 21st century. The prayer service will be held in the Basilica of St. Bartholomew in Rome. The organizer, the St. Egidio community, explained the significance of celebrating the liturgy in the Basilica, saying St. Bartholomew contains the memoirs of contemporary martyrs, a request that had been made by Pope John Paul II during the Jubilee of 2000. And so it takes on a very special significance in these times marked by the suffering of so many Christians in the world and by the light of Easter. 6 washing machines and dryers have been installed near a center run by the Sant'Egidio community. Pope Francis's Laundry, as it is now called, is a free service for the homeless. It was set up by the Office of Papal Charities as a way to restore dignity to so many people. The Pope's almoner, Archbishop Konrad Krajewski, said, "One of the greatest difficulties for those living on the streets, along with that of finding food, a place to spend the night, and public baths, is to wash and dry the clothes they wear. In many cases, the only ones they own." This isn't the only service that the Vatican has offered the homeless. The office has already installed showers, dormitories, a clinic, and a pharmacy, as well as a barbershop. This year, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI's birthday falls on Easter Monday. And guess what? He's turning 90. On the occasion of his anniversary, Vatican magazine paid tribute to this German Pope, who was pontiff for 8 years and who Francis considers like a grandfather.
Ringraziamo Dio per il dono che ha fatto alla Chiesa e al mondo con l'esistenza e il pontificato di Papa Benedetto.
The words of Pope Francis are carried in everyone's heart on the occasion of Pope Benedict XVI's 90th birthday on April 16th. It's a major milestone and a happier one than usual because it coincides with Easter. He was a brilliant theologian and a professor in 4 German universities, Archbishop of Munich, and for 23 years president of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. Joseph Ratzinger was elected Pope on April 19, 2005, but he really made history on February 11, 2013, when he resigned from his Petrine ministry. By some, it was seen as a revolutionary gesture. For others, a wise decision, but nevertheless a prophetic one, which would open the way for reformative impulse to take shape under Jorge Mario Bergoglio. But for now, Pope Francis sees in Pope Benedict a model to follow for having taken courageous decisions in ecclesial matters, for his religiosity, his capacity to awake the faith once again in Europe, a faith that had been asleep, and for his spirit deeply rooted in Christ.
La profondità del pensiero di Joseph Ratzinger, solidamente fondato nella scrittura e nei padri, è sempre nutrito di fede e di preghiera. Ci aiuta a rimanere aperti all'orizzonte dell'eternità, dando così senso anche alle nostre speranze e ai nostri impegni umani. Il suo è un pensiero e un magistero fecondo.
The seed of brotherhood between them made their relationship unique and natural, something people on the outside saw positively, which offered them an image of the Church which is strong and united. Thanks to their effort and to their prayer, and to unexpected visits, phone calls, gifts, the esteem they had for one another was visible through these gestures and words they exchanged, like the ones Ratzinger spoke last year on June 28, 2016, on the anniversary of his priestly ordination.
Santo Padre, la sua bontà, dal primo momento della elezione, ogni momento della mia vita qui, mi colpisce, mi porta realmente interiormente, più che i giardini vaticani, con la bellezza che hanno, la sua bontà è il luogo dove abito, mi sento protetto.
He has always been present at major events, at the invitation of Pope Francis. In the past 4 years, he's been living a monastic life. Once he retired in the Vatican at the Mater Ecclesia monastery. He spends his days reading and praying, though he lives with a fragile physical health. Although his body is weakening, his mental health is strong. Pope Francis continues including Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI and making him feel important during his catechesis, mentioning the contents of his encyclicals in which transpires his love for the Church and humanity, and his concern for the truth. Pope Francis always speaks with great consideration of his predecessor.
Ma c'è qualcosa che qualifica il mio rapporto con Benedetto. Io lo voglio tanto bene a lui, sempre l'ho voluto bene. Per me è un uomo di Dio, è un uomo umile, un uomo che prega. È come avere il nonno a casa. Ma il nonno saggio, quando in una famiglia il nonno è a casa, è venerato, è amato, è ascoltato. Lui è un uomo di una prudenza, ma non si immischia. Quella frase dice tutto. Per me è come avere il nonno a casa, è come mio papà.
The Holy Father still intends to visit Egypt at the end of the month, despite the attacks perpetrated on 2 Coptic churches last Sunday. The faithful were gathered for Palm Sunday celebrations when bombs went off and killed more than 40 people and injured more than 100. The Egyptian president declared a state of emergency for 3 months, but the Holy See confirmed that the Pope will maintain his plan of going to Egypt. The Pope's visit is now more significant than ever as he goes there to support Christian communities and acts as a messenger of peace. Following the Palm Sunday Mass, which we'll talk about later in the show, the Pope condemned the attacks in Egypt. Catholic News Service has more.
In questo Gesù che accetta di essere ossanato pur sapendo bene che lo attende il crocifigge, non ci chiede di contemplarlo soltanto nei quadri o nelle fotografie oppure nei video che circolano in rete. No, è presente in tanti nostri fratelli e sorelle che oggi patiscono sofferenze come lui. Soffrono per un lavoro da schiavi, soffrono per i drammi familiari, soffrono per le malattie, soffrono a causa delle guerre e del terrorismo, a causa degli interessi che muovono le armi e le fanno colpire. Uomini e donne ingannati, violati nella loro dignità, scartati. Gesù è in loro, in ognuno di loro, e con quel volto sfigurato, con quella voce rotta, ci chiede di essere guardato, di essere riconosciuto, di essere amato. Al mio caro fratello Sua Santità Papa Tawadros II, alla Chiesa Copta e a tutta la cara nazione egiziana esprimo il mio profondo cordoglio. Prego per i defunti e per i feriti. Sono vicino ai familiari e all'intera comunità. Il Signore converta i cuori delle persone che seminano terrore, violenza e morte, e anche il cuore di quelli che fanno e trafficano le armi.
Sheikh Ibrahim Mogra is the co-chair of Britain's Christian-Muslim Forum for Interfaith Dialogue and was once a student at Al-Azhar University, which the Pope is scheduled to visit at the end of the month. He spoke to Vatican Radio and commented on the existing tensions between Muslims and Christians in Egypt and what he expects from the Pope's trip.
I think what His Holiness the Pope has planned to do with his forthcoming visit to Al-Azhar is a very, very powerful effort in reaching out to this center of Islam, of leadership for Muslim communities. Egypt is a nation which is regarded as a very powerful nation within Muslim nations around the world, close ties with the West in many ways, and in many ways also the bridge builder between certainly Israel and the Arab world. And with such efforts of religious leaders of the highest status coming together and talking about these issues, I think if they were to join forces, can have a very strong influence on politicians on all sides of the table.
So you believe that beyond the symbolic gesture, Pope Francis's visit could have a significant impact?
Oh, I hope he's not just going there for sightseeing or to see the pyramids or to meet some sheikhs in Al-Azhar. I'm sure he will want to raise these issues, and he should, because if our religious leaders don't raise these issues, then who's going to raise these issues? Fundamentally, it's the followers of our religions who are involved in this evil, in this behavior which goes against the teachings of all our religions. So I wish him well, and I hope that the leaders at Al-Azhar and Egyptian politicians will pay heed to his words.
Now, in Rome, Palm Sunday celebrations took place in St. Peter's Square. Pope Francis presided the liturgy, and it started in the middle of the square, where the Pope blessed the palms and olive branches and listened to the first gospel reading. He then made his way to the front of the basilica to celebrate the Mass, and in his homily he commented on the Passion narrative found in the Gospel of St. Matthew. Here is a recap of his reflection. Today's celebration the Pope began can be said to be bittersweet. Palm Sunday is both joyful and sorrowful. Jesus is welcomed into the city of Jerusalem as king, but this joy is contrasted by the proclamation of his passion. In the Gospel of Matthew, the Pope focused on specific images that we see. Jesus coming down from the Mount of Olives, riding on the donkey, the enthusiasm of the disciples and of the young people of the city, and the scandalized Pharisees. Jesus doesn't hide the fact that he is the Messiah who comes as the servant of God and of man and goes to his passion. But, he said, let us also think of the sufferings that he will have to endure. The slanders and insults, the snares and betrayals, the abandonment, the blows, the lashes, and the crown of thorns, and the cross. The Holy Father reminded the faithful that Jesus never promised honor and success, but that victory would only come through the cross. Pope Francis said we should therefore ask for the grace to follow Jesus faithfully and for the patience to carry our own cross. And contemplating the cross also means seeing Jesus present in those who endure suffering today. The Jesus who entered Jerusalem to waving palm branches is the same one who was nailed to the cross, the Holy Father's trust. He finished, "We have no other Lord but him, Jesus, the humble King of justice, mercy, and peace." Pope Francis was joined by young people in the Basilica of Santa Maria Maggiore for a prayer vigil before the Palm Sunday celebrations. The service was accompanied by music, readings, and testimonies. The event marked the 32nd World Youth Days, celebrated in dioceses worldwide. It launched at the same time preparations for the next Synod on Youth in 2018 and the next World Youth Day in Panama. The Holy Father spoke to the young people and gave them advice moving forward. In the next Synod, the Pope said, every young person has something to say to others. He or she has something to say to adults, something to say to priests, sisters, bishops, and even the Pope. All of us need to listen to you. He then recalled their time together in Krakow and what he told them at the vigil. He said, it is not good to see a young person already retired at 20. He also told them, it is also not good to see a young person spending his or her life on a couch. Commenting on the gospel they read, where Mary sets out in haste to meet her cousin Elizabeth, the Holy Father said, the world today needs young people who hurry, who are on the go. It's a tragedy when young people are discarded, he said. They lack work, education, integration, an ideal to pursue. But he encouraged them to take risks, saying when young people don't take risks, they are already old. Pope Francis invited them to march towards the Synod and towards Panama with joy, with their aspirations, without fear, without shame, and with courage. Another piece of advice he gave the young people was to ask themselves, not, who am I, but rather, for whom am I? The question must be asked, he continued, because life demands concreteness. Concreteness is your vocation. Finally, he begged them to talk to their grandparents. We need this bridge, this dialogue. This is the mission the Church gives to you today. Years ago, between April 7th and April 15th, 1987, Pope John Paul II led the first International World Youth Day outside of Rome and the first in South America. It took place in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and 1 million pilgrims attended the international gathering. At that time, Cardinal Jorge Mario Bergoglio, now Pope Francis, was Archbishop of the Argentinian capital. 1 year ago, Pope Francis published his post-synodal exhortation, Amoris Laetitia. It was released on April 8, 2016. This document has been at the center of much debate. It's been in the hands of bishops, priests, religious, people in ministry, journalists around the world. Some people have praised the text, others have found a number of ambiguities. So what to make of it 1 year after its publication? Matteo Cioffi outlines some of the reactions surrounding the document.
The text summarized the two synods on the family in 2014 and 2015 and sought to give a new impulse to the pastoral approach of the Church to family and marriage, focusing on the Church as a mother and on the concept of discernment. In these past 12 months, there has been various criticism and interpretation of the document. Monsignor Pietro Maria Fragnelli, Bishop of Trapani and President of the Italian Bishop Commission for the Family, expressed his opinion on that matter. We can definitely say that a change of mentality started, he said. The Pope, at the beginning of the Apostolic Exhortation, invites to have a view of the change through a gradual awareness that will bring surely something good in the future. The Pope expects a bond even stronger among Evangelii Gaudium and Amoris Laetitia. Between the two documents, there is a tension that must be translated into renewed pastoral action. The idea is always that the Church goes out closer to families and to the people who need help. Last November, 4 cardinals had expressed their dubia, their doubts about the much discussed matter of allowing divorced and remarried people to receive the Eucharist and about the value of moral norms regulating this part of the Christian life. Regarding the one-year anniversary of Amoris Laetitia, Cardinal Wurr told the crux, it's not a list of answers to each individual human issue. The Apostolic Exhortation calls for a compassionate pastoral approach to many people, married, single and divorced, who are struggling to face issues in life, the reaching of the Church and their own desire to reconcile all of this. The exhortation, Cardinal Wurr continued, is a call to compassionate accompaniment in helping all experience Christ's love and mercy. In the action of going out, encountering, sharing, and accompanying, moreover, we also recognize that in the journey we ourselves are also drawing closer to the Lord. Last Saturday, marking the anniversary of the publication, Pope Francis spoke about the next Synod on the Youth during the prayer vigil for the 32nd World Youth Day. It will take place in October 2018 and it will focus on young people. Once again, the Pope stressed two things: the importance of listening and of not excluding anyone. Two keys found in Amoris Laetitia.
We're already halfway through the Triduum, but there are still major events taking place at the Vatican in the next couple days. On Saturday, Pope Francis will preside the Easter Vigil in St. Peter's Basilica. The ceremony always starts in the dark with only candles to light the procession, representing the resurrection of Christ. At this liturgy, the Pope also typically baptizes a number of catechumens. And then on Easter Sunday, the faithful are expected to show up in St. Peter's Square for Mass. Following the Eucharistic celebration, the Holy Father will make his way to the central loggia, the balcony used to announce the election of a new pope, and from there he will address the crowds in his traditional Urbi et Orbi message and bless them. That message is a message of peace, which is extended to the people of Rome and to the whole world. We will have more on the Triduum from Rome in next week's show, so be sure to tune in for a complete look at this weekend's celebrations. During this Holy Week, let us focus our gaze on Jesus and ask for the grace to better understand the mystery of his sacrifice. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to send them via Vatican Connections Twitter page at VatiConnections. I'll be happy to answer them on our next episode. And that's all for tonight. Thanks for watching and have a blessed Triduum.